The rain hammered against the windows of our small cottage in the Cotswolds, mirroring the storm brewing inside me. For years, Alaric, a 43-year-old IT specialist, thought I had the perfect life with my wife, Bronte. We met in university, two dreamers drawn together by a shared love of literature and long walks in the countryside. Now, 20 years later, the dream was shattering into a million pieces. It started subtly, almost imperceptibly. Bronte, a vibrant and outgoing teacher, began to withdraw. Her laughter, once a constant melody in our home, became infrequent, replaced by a quiet reserve. She had always been meticulous about her appearance, but lately she was spending hours getting ready, experimenting with new perfumes and clothes that seemed younger somehow. I chalked it up to stress from work, the pressures of teaching teenagers. I tried to be supportive, making her favorite dinners, running her relaxing baths, suggesting weekend getaways. But my efforts were met with polite smiles and averted eyes. The first real red flag came a few months ago. Bronte started receiving late-night calls, always stepping out of the room to answer them, her voice hushed and secretive. When I asked who it was, she'd brush it off, saying it was a colleague or a parent calling about a student issue. I wanted to believe her, I truly did, but a nagging doubt began to fester in my mind. It was like a persistent itch I couldn't scratch. One evening while Bronte was in the shower, her phone buzzed incessantly on the nightstand. Curiosity, or perhaps a darker, more desperate need for answers, overwhelmed me. I picked it up. A message from a number I didn't recognize. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow, my love. Thinking of you all the time." The words hit me like a physical blow. My heart pounded in my chest, my hands trembled. My love, who was this person? What was going on? I quickly scrolled through the message history, a sickening knot forming in my stomach with each passing line. It was him. Messages filled with longing, affection, and thinly veiled innuendo. His name was Lysander. I felt a cold dread wash over me. Lysander. I knew that name. He was the new history teacher at Bronte's school, a charismatic, younger man who had joined the faculty just last year. I had met him a few times at school events. He was always charming and attentive to Bronte, perhaps a little too attentive, I realized with a jolt. I slammed the phone back on the nightstand just as Bronte emerged from the bathroom, her hair wrapped in a towel. "Everything okay, Alaric?" she asked, her voice casual. "Who is Lysander?" I blurted out, the question hanging heavy in the air. Her eyes widened imperceptibly, a flicker of surprise betraying her carefully constructed facade. "Lysander. He's just a colleague," she stammered, her cheeks flushing slightly. "Just a colleague who calls you my love and can't wait to see you." I challenged, my voice rising with anger and hurt. She hesitated, searching for an explanation, a lie to mask the truth. "Alaric, you're a misunderstanding," she began, but the words sounded hollow, even to her own ears. "No, Bronte, I think I understand perfectly," I interrupted, my voice trembling with a mixture of rage and despair. "You're having an affair with him, aren't you?" She finally broke down, tears streaming down her face. "Yes," she sobbed, I am." The admission felt like a dagger twisting in my heart. All the doubts, the suspicions, the nagging unease, they were all confirmed. The woman I loved, the woman I had built a life with, had betrayed me in the most profound way imaginable. "How could you?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "How could you do this to me? To us?" She couldn't meet my gaze, her eyes fixed on the floor. "I don't know," she whimpered. "It just happened. I didn't mean for it to go this far, didn't mean for it to go this far," I repeated, incredulous. "You've been lying to me for months, sneaking around behind my back, and you didn't mean for it to go this far." The hypocrisy was staggering. She claimed it just happened, as if affairs spontaneously occurred without conscious decision. I felt that her words were a way for her to deflect blame and responsibility. I turned away from her, unable to bear the sight of her tears, her shame. "I need you to leave," I said, my voice flat. "I need you to pack your things and get out of my house." She looked up, her eyes filled with panic. "Alaric, please don't do this. We can work through this. I'll end it with Lysander, I promise." But the trust was gone, shattered beyond repair. The image of her in another man's arms, whispering sweet nothings, was seared into my mind, an indelible stain on our marriage. "It's too late, Bronte," I said, my voice cold and final. "It's over," she pleaded, she begged, she cried, but I remained firm. I couldn't forgive her, not after this. The betrayal was too deep, the wound too raw. That night, Bronte packed a suitcase and left. As I watched her drive away, disappearing into the darkness, I felt a profound sense of loss, but also a strange sense of relief. The pain was excruciating, but at least the charade was over. The truth was out in the open, and I could finally begin the long, arduous process of healing. The days that followed were a blur of paperwork, legal consultations, and sleepless nights. Divorce proceedings were initiated, and the intricate process of dividing our assets began. Our friends and family were shocked by the news, their reactions ranging from sympathy to disbelief. Some took my side, condemning Bronte's actions, while others urged me to reconsider, to give her another chance. But I couldn't. The betrayal had fundamentally changed me, eroding my trust in others and leaving me with a deep-seated fear of vulnerability. I couldn't imagine ever being able to fully trust Bronte again, and without trust, there was no foundation for a relationship. As the divorce progressed, I learned more about the extent of Bronte's affair with Lysander. It had been going on for almost a year, starting with innocent flirtations in the staff room and escalating into clandestine meetings after school and stolen weekends away. They had even planned a romantic getaway to Paris, a trip that was now canceled. The details were like salt in an open wound, each revelation deepening my pain and fueling my anger. I couldn't understand how Bronte could have been so deceitful, so callous, so willing to risk everything we had built together for a fleeting moment of passion. One afternoon, I received an unexpected visit from Lysander. He stood on my doorstep looking contrite and nervous. "Alaric, can we talk?" he asked, his voice barely audible. I hesitated for a moment, then reluctantly let him in. I wasn't sure what he wanted, but I was curious, if only to hear his pathetic excuses. "I know what I did was wrong," he began, his eyes darting around the room. "I never meant to hurt you, Alaric. It just happened, I repeated, echoing Bronte's earlier excuse. "Is that what you're both telling yourselves? That you're just innocent victims of circumstance?" He shifted uncomfortably, avoiding my gaze. "I'm not trying to make excuses," he said. "I just want you to know that I am sorry. I am truly sorry for the pain I've caused you." "Sorry," I scoffed. "Sorry isn't going to fix my broken marriage, Lysander. Sorry isn't going to erase the months of lies and deceit. Sorry isn't going to give me back the years I wasted on a woman who didn't love me." He remained silent, his face etched with guilt. "What do you want from me, Alaric?" he finally asked. "I want you to leave," I said, my voice cold and hard. "I want you to leave Bronte alone and get out of my life. I don't ever want to see your face again." He nodded meekly. "I understand," he said. "I'll do that." And with that, he turned and walked out of my house, leaving me alone with my thoughts and my pain. As the weeks turned into months, I slowly began to rebuild my life. I threw myself into my work, finding solace in the familiar routines and challenges of my job. I reconnected with old friends, spending weekends hiking in the countryside or attending concerts in the city. I even started taking a pottery class, discovering a hidden talent for sculpting clay. The pain of Bronte's betrayal lingered, but it gradually began to fade, replaced by a quiet acceptance and a renewed sense of self-worth. I realized that I was stronger than I thought, more resilient than I ever imagined. I had survived the worst thing that could have happened to me, and I had emerged from the ashes a better, more complete person. One day, I received a letter from Bronte. It was a long, rambling apology, filled with regret and self-reproach. She wrote about how she had lost everything because of her affair with Lysander. He had dumped her shortly after I confronted him. She had lost her job. She was alone and miserable. She begged for my forgiveness, for a second chance. She claimed that she had finally realized the enormity of her mistake and that she would do anything to win me back. I read the letter with a mixture of pity and disdain. I felt sorry for Bronte, but I couldn't forgive her. The trust was gone, and without trust, there was nothing left to salvage. I wrote back a short, polite reply, wishing her well and urging her to move on with her life. I didn't mention the affair or the pain she had caused me. I simply closed the door on that chapter of my life and moved on. Years have passed since then. I am now 48, and I have since met someone new, a kind and compassionate woman named Clementine who appreciates me for who I am. We are happy together, building a new life based on trust, honesty, and mutual respect. Bronte, I heard through mutual acquaintances, never fully recovered from her mistakes. She drifted from job to job, never finding lasting happiness or fulfillment. Her affair with Lysander had cost her everything, and she was left to live with the consequences of her actions. Sometimes, late at night, when the rain is hammering against the windows and the memories come flooding back, I think about Bronte and the life we once shared. I feel a pang of sadness for what could have been, but I also feel a sense of gratitude for the lessons I learned. I learned that trust is precious, that betrayal is devastating, and that forgiveness is not always possible. I learned that you can survive even the most profound heartbreak, and that you can emerge from the ashes stronger and more resilient than ever before. And most importantly, I learned that you deserve to be loved and respected, and that you should never settle for anything less. This story is a reminder of the pain that infidelity can cause, but also a testament to the human capacity for resilience and renewal. It is a story about betrayal, forgiveness, and the enduring power of hope. Thank you for listening, and remember to cherish the love and trust you have in your life. It is precious and should never be taken for granted.